but instead of tea, I got hot cocoa. I'm Matt.
am Andrew.
No, my name's Andrew. Should I give him my middle name?
Yes.
My name's Andrew Solomon Patterson. My parents were very religious, and my sister's name was almost Ohira, but thank God it's Heather. Oh, that's
Ohira?
Ohira. Apparently, it's in the Bible. My dad's very when he gets into stuff, he gets into stuff.
Really?
We learned Hebrew when I was a kid.
Did you really?
Aleph, Bet, and Gimel, Dalet, Hey, and Vav, and Zayin, Hey, Ten,
Do you know what that means?
I'm just doing the alphabet.
Oh.
Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samakayin. I don't know. I don't even know where those divide. I just know if I sing it, I can still do it. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet. After that, I really don't. That's A, B, C, D.
Are they the same letters?
Aleph, Bet. Oh no, they're that's the first amount of letters. That would be like A, B, C, D. No, they're not the same letters. What?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
You still have your ABCs. They're just your Aleph, Bet, Gimels. I might be wrong, too. I don't know. I was under 7 when I learned all that. My dad got the thing. It was a floppy disk.
were y'all Jewish?
For a few years. My mom has a Star of David necklace. That's the coolest gift my dad ever got her. He got her.
I think your dad was like, "You mean I got to grow those curlies in front of my ear?"
No, we're not.
Never mind. Let's
We're
be
not
Christian.
Hasidic. That's we're just cheap now.
We were not super religious. Everybody in my family is religious, but nobody was super religious.
Right, that old. I think it was a Mitch Hedberg joke. I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
Right.
Okay, I think it was Mitch Hedberg. Sounds like him.
We went to, we hit the high notes. We went to church on Easter.
My grandpa was a preacher, so we went to church every single church. We'd go Wednesday and then twice on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I didn't know other people didn't go twice on Sunday. I never noticed. It was there's a Sunday morning and a Sunday evening. There were a lot of people that went to both. If I remember correctly, it was the same sermon, though. So that makes almost no sense.
Yeah.
It'd be like going to a comedy show, going to the Friday night and the Friday Night Late Show. It's yeah, so you're not it's going to be the same. But no, we went to church very, very religiously. And then my grandpa retired from preaching, and a very nice gentleman took over, which is a huge thing with the church. Back then it wasn't just hey, we hired a new guy. It's there's a vote or something. Mm-hmm. It was a really big deal, and my parents were very upset because he was divorced. And this was more my mom's thing, but he also had a goatee. The Bible said not to shave the corners of your beard. I don't know.
Is it really?
Yeah. Yeah, somewhere. That's something to do with the Hasidic Jews leave that part. So it's their sideburns, I guess, are the corners of your beard. My mom's theory was if you shave off and shape your beard, you look more like the devil. So I don't get it.
The devil got a goatee?
The devil's got a goatee. I personally think the devil just is probably a regular looking dude that runs a country or something. But I don't know which country. I just assume a president or prime minister somewhere is the devil. But no, we
Wow.
we stopped going to church and started home churching, which I'd never heard of. But I was also my timeline on this is before I'm 7 because we moved to Lawton when I was 7. We started doing home church, and it was actually pretty cool. And then we moved to Lawton, and every weekend for as long as it took, my parents would go to all the churches until they went to all the churches, and none of the churches were to their standards, so we just kind of stopped doing church. So there was no home church in Lawton. There was also no going to church in Lawton, but they went to several churches. And then they didn't get mad when I went to a church I thought was cool because my friends were there. So Fuel was this church thing that was for kids 12 to 14 or something. And basically it was a place where you could get your fingers wet and you could smoke weed. I didn't smoke weed.
Get your fingers a little pruned up, though, didn't you?
To me, at that time, that's all church meant. It's just getting girls that smoke cigarettes to let you touch their vaginas. I would never do that now. That's gross. Unless Brandy starts smoking. And then I'll be like, all right.
Okay, fine. I'm not going to quit.
Well, if you got a good one on you and I'm just not going to kiss you on the mouth because that's fucking nasty. You smoke cigarettes. Don't smoke cigarettes or I won't kiss you on the mouth.
I'm about to start smoking cigarettes. Just to be safe.
All right, no, you want to you want to talk about. I'm trying to keep it even where I don't ramble about everything. Homeschooling, living in a warehouse, or religion, and you can ask me questions, or I can tell you something and you can give me your opinion on it. That way, it's more even keeled.
You want to talk about all of those things?
You pick. We're doing a podcast, dude.
Okay.
Squirrel. I'm just a squirrel trying to bust a nut on a little squirrel's chest with them little squirrel titties.
Yeah. So I am not a big fan of the idea of self-driving cars.
Okay. So I'm really curious about why, because I was talking to my cousin, also named Matt, the other day, and we have the same theory on self-driving cars. People need a person to blame. So let's say you have self-driving cars and 1 in 10,000 will kill somebody.
Okay.
And you have regular drivers and 1 in 5,000 will kill somebody. Mm-hmm. People are more comfortable currently with the 1 in 5,000 because it's a human error. We've grown to go, okay, we know what happened.
Right.
People make mistakes. We can put that guy in jail. There's a person to point out. If a Tesla or a Toyota or whatever kills somebody, you could only sue the company and get money, but nobody gets punished. And humans like punishment, and humans like having a absolute, it's this person's fault, we have this person to blame for this action. You can't really blame, you can blame a company, but there's so many people in a company.
I don't like the idea of self-driving cars for the exact same reason that I don't like that almost every checkout at Walmart is now self-checkout. I am
You like talking to the cashiers?
I am fearful of the future and the machines being in control of everything. There's
Right.
less of us needed.
Yeah.
They're becoming smarter and smarter. They do things that I think the machine. We don't want a machine that can do everything for us because then the machine doesn't need us.
Well, I mean, I don't know, I think you repurpose humans, though. Like, if a job could be done by a machine that, like, no offense to cashiers, but, like, pretty much anybody can do it. So we let a cashier...
We do it now.
What?
We do it now.
Yeah, we do it ourselves. So I can still go to Walmart. If they switch to all self-checkout lanes, which obviously they're getting close to, mm-hmm. I don't have to wait as long, and I can ring all my own stuff up, and people that like to steal can steal way more. So my problem would be on the business side, like theft is going to go up enough that it might not offset the money you're saving by paying less employees. Jobs go down, yes, but like I was saying right before we started recording, I've always wanted to do stuff. Like I've never been like, I just want to sit here and do nothing. Like I do as a reward for working hard. At the end of the day, I go, I'm going to put my feet up on this pillow, smoke a doob, watch the show, whatever. But I've always had some kind of drive, and I have to have an outlet all the time. So I assume that just means more people will have different outlets. Like, so if I can't be a cashier, I have to be a barber or a tattoo artist. If I can't be a barber or a tattoo artist because that gets replaced, I have to be some type of artist. So like creativity could go through the roof because we're offloading all this fucking stuff that we're usually worrying our brains with to a machine.
Yeah,
Like,
except that
there's no
now people are using machines to do art.
But they're not.
What do you mean they're not?
It's not, I mean, it's not art, but like art is anything that makes you feel anything. I don't feel anything that I want to feel when I look at AI art. Like I'm interested, I think it's cool.
Right, but
I can tell there's a soul right there. Like this painting, like it's a print that a computer made of a painting, but I can still see Cam Rackham in that. Like there is literal, actual human soul in that print. I don't think AI is going to be able to do that. If it does, then we just have to fuck a lot. But then AI is going to fuck us. So there is a slippery slope argument for sure. But like I don't encourage it or think we should lean into it, but I'm not at all worried about it. Like, I'm not even worried about it for my great-grandkids. Like, and I think that's a very rare take, but when the printing press came out, people were like, well, now how's anybody going to know how to read and write? Well, you still know how to read. And somebody's got to write the first draft, and then you print it. And when the internet came out, people thought that was, I don't know, you know. It's cool, because we can make a podcast.
Yeah.
There's definitely going to be some growing pains. Like, think of it the same way as the internet. You're going to have a bunch of bad things that come out of it. And if you want to focus on the bad, there's plenty. But if you want to focus on the good, there's more. I think automation goes that way. I don't know. I'm not at all saying you're 100% wrong, and I think this is how things work out. But I'm just like, it's also like, what's the, like, can we agree it's pretty much inevitable? Like, it's happening?
Yeah.
Then,
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds dumb to say, why worry about something you can't
At some
control,
point in time,
but
I'm going to get.
at
At some point in time, I'm going to get in a car that doesn't have a driver. I'm just going to out loud say where I want to go, and the car's just going to go. That's going to happen. I will do it. What I don't like about it is I'm fearful of people not needing to be doing something.
That's the thing. I don't think you can. Now, I agree. Idle hands is bad.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can take the drive and the need to do things out of people, or at least you can't in 2 or 3 generations. Maybe in 2, 3, 400 years, we have people that are like just completely useless and sit there and do nothing, and then the species is over. But why is that bad? Like, why do humans have to live forever?
I don't want to die.
No, I don't want to die either. And I definitely don't want my grandkids to fucking not exist, or my great. I want to have grandkids. I want to meet them. I'd like to have great grandkids and be around to meet them. All that's cool. But if we can't fucking stop it, which, I mean, as a society we can. We could stop fucking automating things. We could stop putting preservatives in things. We could do a lot of things to prolong the human species, for sure. But we're not, and I'm not saying we, you and I'm saying we're not interested in that as a race, because if we were, we wouldn't be so fucking lazy. We wouldn't need, and I use Siri all the fucking time. You see me write jokes. I just write a prompt like this and then I figure it out a week later. But as a society, we are super fucking into convenience to a point that we're going to let it win.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, I'm just trying to focus on the positives and look at the good stuff. But I think on cars, I'm not worried at all. Cars, I legit think they're 20 times safer. I mean, if you just look at like the stats of how many times people die in a car wreck, when you were 15, how many people do you think at the age of 15 do you think you had known that were dead because of a car wreck?
Oh,
Like 50?
yeah, probably.
Okay, same. 50 to 60. Every week or two, somebody at our church died. There's only like 100 people at our church. We got a new one, but somebody would die all the time. Like, all I remember is just like, oh, so-and-so had a Mountain Dew bottle run under his semi-truck's brake, and then he couldn't stop it, so he ran off the road and died. I was like, oh. So why are we talking about that at church right now? Could we not just like tell the adults and wait till the kids are down here so we don't hear about death every fucking week? But I was an asshole. But now, when was the last time you remember somebody dying in a car wreck that you knew? That might have been loud.
Been a few years.
Okay. And would you say you know more people now than you did when you were 15?
Probably.
So cars have gotten safer. I feel like that's not just like lane stay and all that shit, but I think we're going to get safer and safer and safer. So my argument would be, now we're going to have too many people and nothing for them to do. Would be like a further step that you could, positive or negative.
Right.
But like, same thing with, now I'll go ahead and say I was wrong about this, and I could definitely be wrong about what I'm saying right now. But when universal basic income was first thrown at me as a concept, Andrew Yang was a big proponent of that. Do you remember him talking about it at any point? Okay, Andrew Yang went on Rogan like maybe 5 years ago, and he was running, I think he was going to run in 2020 on the idea that everybody's going to get just enough money to stay alive federally from taxes. He said we could take 1 penny off every trade on Wall Street, and that would be, for every person 18 or older in the United States, be over $1,200. So it's enough, on average, if you have roommates and shit, for you not to die. It's not enough for you to live comfortably. And I was like, that sounds great. And his argument was, if we give people enough money, they can live comfortably. they'll probably do what they want. They'll probably like quit Burger King and start painting cars or whatever their fucking dream is. And they'll take less subpar jobs, and that'll leave more subpar jobs for people 16, 17. Made sense to me. Seemed very logical. I thought for sure Andrew Yang sounds like a genius. COVID hit, we gave people stimulus checks, they all fucking became completely useless. And like society is now still completely useless as a whole because we gave them $2,500 a couple times. So I was wrong there, and I could be wrong here. But I don't see, I don't know. I don't see the problems coming down the pipeline being something I can stop or being something I'm actually going to be affected by. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I kind of agree with you. I'm definitely in the middle on this thing.
On the what did you say? Andrew Yang?
Andrew Yang, yeah. So he was like a tech gajillionaire. Like, he was like, I don't remember what he made, but he had like an app or something.
Right, but so like what you're saying is that you think, using COVID as an example, we get some stimulus checks and everybody was dumb with it.
Yeah. And they just refused to fucking work ever again. Like, they're still not working.
Right.
That's the part that I did not, and that's why I'm saying I'm putting it out there fully. I could definitely be wrong on the automation because it's a very similar thing. I thought people would rise to the occasion and be like, hey, I could take a month off and focus on my rap career, and I'll stay in the studio and I'll work every day.
Right.
They said, my bills are covered for 1 month. I'm not working for 6. So I'm making an argument on your side against mine. But you get like...
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. And I do think, I don't know what to think about, man, this could get deep. Because you start talking about, like when I was a kid, we had food stamps, and everybody has different circumstances, whatever it may be, But I think now, because also then I got older and I worked in a grocery store, so I saw the way people were abusing assistance, and I was like, are you helping them by helping them?
Right.
Or are you making it like there has to be, but there's no accountability. So you just give it to them, and then they say that you're supposed to be out looking for a job and that you're supposed to be trying to better yourself, but then you don't hold them to that.
Right.
So there are people who make a living on government assistance.
Right.
Because they know all the tricks and the ins and the outs of what exactly, what's the minimum I have to do to be able to maintain this.
Yeah.
And there's the workarounds. I think that there's way more money being given out than necessary.
No, I agree. And that's the thing, like, I think food stamps are necessary to be like a safety net for people that... My go-to, when you say something like food stamps, is I go, a lady that got married or was dating and living with a guy that she thought was going to take care of her. So she, to take care of her kids, skipped out on her dream to become a fucking nurse or whatever, and now is 37 with 3 kids. Dude just dipped out on her. We don't know where he's at, or died, didn't have life insurance, whatever. And she's left with, I have no marketable skills. I could get a regular job, but I can't do school from now for the next 4 years and take care of my kids, so I need food stamps.
Right.
So then she goes part-time job and food stamps, goes to school, or fucking works her ass off and does 2 jobs that suck and never does the nurse thing. Either one's not great. I think food stamps help her get to where she needs to be. I think in those situations, I think like, you have X amount of dollars, or maybe there's an auditing system where you just prove where you spent it. The problem is people find workarounds on everything. So if I'm the government issuing it, I go, well, if we do this, they're going to do this to...
Right, but instead what the government does is they say, okay, so you have a part-time job, you make too much money for assistance.
Right.
But if you just don't work at all, we'll give you 3 times more than what you were asking for.
I knew a guy.
That doesn't make any
No,
sense.
It's insane. I knew a guy that he made more money. Now, he's really smart. He made more money by going to school and keeping student loans going that he's never going to have to pay back because he's just going to stay in school. And then working for like exactly 3 months until he hit like a number like 21,000. There was like some sweet spot. He would go ahead and basically do his future taxes for the year and go, all right, when I hit... Oh, also he wouldn't start working until a certain period of the year because he needed to know something like the accountants get. That's like the yearly like projection that you don't get until like, I want to say like June or something. But he would start working once he knew how much money he could make while still getting the most tax returns out of it. It's not a return, it's money that was paid in by other people. He could make an extra 10,000, or he could work the whole year and make 10,000 less and pay taxes. So like he could make like $45,000 by making $35,000 essentially, or he could make 30 by making 45. Like, now those numbers don't add up, but it was he could go to this point, and he figured it out. And him and his wife both, like, they never got married on paper. They lived with his parents. He delivered pizza because it was like a very controllable quit, start back. I can also, like, whatever tips he doesn't have to claim. All these different things. He figured out the sweet spot of only having to work a couple months and making enough money to survive. And if he applied that to marketing, he could have been a millionaire. Mm-hmm. And he could have helped thousands of people's businesses, and they could have been millionaires.
Right.
And that's not everybody's dream, but he could have done anything with the level of fucking work and intelligence that he was able to fucking put into not scamming, just working the system.
Right.
Like, nothing illegal that I know of was done. And he would get student loans, get his books paid for, get some kind of grants for school. Like, sometimes he would get a tax return of like 35,000, or not a tax return. He would get a tax return of like 10 grand. He would get a grant every couple years for about 35,000 to pay for school stuff that he already owned. Mm-hmm. So like he would have books that he had already purchased, and then to buy books, they would give him more money because he was so poor he couldn't afford college. But he was so poor because he was smart enough, he knew if he made decent money, he'd have to work his ass off to stay at that middle spot.
Yeah.
So his options were above poverty, not doing great, almost not working, or doing really, really good financially but having no free time. And he chose doing okay. And I don't fault him for it. I don't think he's a bad guy. I just was like, well, I mean, he's dead now. But it was weird.
Yeah.
It was weird knowing him and going like, what drives you to make that decision? And then the guy I tattooed today, not the second one that you met, but the first guy, really cool guy, really nice. He said he used to work at Goodyear. And I think, no, it was the other Matt. I talked to my cousin the other day about how everybody's dream here is to work at Goodyear. He said, what do you think people at Goodyear make? And I was like, I think they think it's a lot. I don't think they think it's a number. I think they think it's 2 razors and a boat. Yeah. I don't think they think it's 85,000 or 150. I think they just think it's what that guy bought. They're not thinking numbers. And he asked me because he knew somebody that said he wished he made a little more money like his friend that works at Goodyear. And he knows how much this guy makes, and it's comparable to middle to upper Goodyear. Like, you could make more, you definitely could make less at Goodyear than this guy makes. And he was like, I think people just have the wrong idea what Goodyear's got going on. This guy said he used to work at Goodyear, and now he works for a job that just pays less, that he doesn't hate. And I was like, why'd you leave Goodyear? And he said, man, the lighting's kind of like that out there, which I think is cool in here. But when you're in it all day, it's just really depressing. It's really loud. Nobody likes their job, and I just didn't want to be there. So he just makes half the money now to do a job he doesn't mind. I like that guy.
Yeah.
He's not going, oh, I could be better off if the government helped me a little and do all this. He's just going, I'm making a choice to have a job I like over a job I hate and making half the money. I thought that was probably one of the most admirable things I had heard one of my clients say in a long time. Mm-hmm. I also didn't know how much he told me how much he was getting paid hourly at Goodyear. I want to say it was like 40 an hour or something. Like he was pretty good.
Yeah.
Better than I thought he would have made, because he's also really young. Like, he's under 25. But the people that figure out the system that makes sense, I get that. The people like him that just go, I just don't want to be depressed all day. That makes sense. The thing is, there's so many options, and I don't think just in America. I think there's an option everywhere to do whatever the fuck you want for the most part, if you work really hard. But then when I say that, I'm attacked by people. Oh, you had it really easy. I'm like, I don't know if I did. Like, I don't know what people think my upbringing was, but I did have huge advantages. My dad definitely instilled a work ethic in all of us. My mom made it very clear that if you want your own money, you got to hustle. So it's two people doing different things. My mom would go to garage sales, buy shit, sell it on eBay. That was a big thing. So I had examples, but people, we've talked about this before, like people that grow up in the hood say, well, he didn't know anything else. You might have been able to say that in the 80s, but you have YouTube now. So you go, Mr. Beast is an example. The guy that teaches yoga is an example. It doesn't matter what it is. There's a fucking version of what you want to do. You can look at and see it's real and people can do it.
Yeah.
So I can't wrap my head around the idea of being completely fucked unless you have a physical or mental disability that makes it like hard. In America. I know some places it is hard.
Yeah.
But like, I'm really curious how much of that is just like, I got that lucky. Because like, I worked really hard to get that lucky. And now I don't work that hard. I work harder than most people I know, but not hard at all.
Right.
Like, which is a crazy statement. I didn't even realize until I said it. I work harder than almost everybody I know, but I'm not working hard at all. That's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, you know me very well. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Like, I'm
yeah.
not working my ass off, but I'm working harder than... I'd be hard-pressed to name 5 people working harder than me. Now, physically, I know people that are doing harder work than me. Like,
right.
Everybody that works at Goodyear, their job's harder than mine. Damn. I got to write that on a bumper sticker or something. Figure it out. It's just weird. Like, I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah. I didn't, which, I mean, I'm not saying anything bad about my parents, but as far as going out and doing things, I didn't have good examples.
Right.
You know, neither one of my parents were ever good with money. My dad was a Vietnam veteran who came back fucked up and was just doing everything he could to try to survive. Like he didn't understand the world anymore. And then my mom was just somebody who is extremely intelligent, but chose to take care of my dad instead of pursue anything else.
Right.
So they just took care of each other. That's all they did, and they did it at the lowest level possible.
But the example I gave of YouTube, when you were a kid, were there people that existed in the world, whether it was in a movie, whether it was real or fictional, that you could look at and go, I see what he did to get where he's at. I want to be there, so I see what I have to do.
Right. And that's where my, you know, I never stopped believing the saying of you can be anything you want to be when you grow up.
Same.
I still believe that, maybe even more so now than back then. Now, I believe there are more options and opportunities now than there was. But, so it didn't make sense to me to just go to work, pay bills, go home, get up, go to work, pay bills, go home. Like that doesn't, there's got to be more to this than that.
Right. And like, why are you doing that?
Right.
That's the thing. That's when I think of, that's why, I mean, I'm not trying to just bash Goodyear. Like it is for people that just need to make a good living.
Right. I mean, we need tires.
We need tires. It's a good place to work if that's what you want to do. It pays better than most jobs in town. Not at all saying it's shitty. I'm just saying, like, that's what pops in my head when people say Goodyear. I go, oh, you go to a job. I've never met anybody that's passionate about their job at Goodyear.
Right.
I've met people that are like, dude, it pays really good.
And I had an uncle that worked. I mean, I've had several family members that worked there.
I've got about 50 of them.
But I had an uncle that worked there, and when I was growing up, like my aunt was always like, hey, like when you're old enough, if you want to go work at Goodyear, your uncle can get you on. He can get you on. He can get you on. And my uncle was one of my favorite people on the planet. He was a fantastic guy that I only saw 5-6 times a year.
Right.
And our families were always together. But he was always at work.
Yeah, he can't skip that.
And if he wasn't at work, he was sleeping.
Right.
You know, and I was like, yeah, he's like, y'all are doing good. He's not enjoying it.
Right.
Like that doesn't make sense to
the
know.
other
I don't
thing-
want to go someplace to where, and I remember my uncle telling me this one time. He said, I woke up one day and it was 10 years later.
Yeah, he gave his entire life to fucking take care of people he cares about, which is honorable
Right.
and cool, but he could have probably done 75% of the income for a job that every now and then his kid would get to see what he does for work, or
Right.
like an example I would, it's not a great example, but like Brylan works here with me on Fridays. We've talked about that too. Like, I don't see her sitting on the couch sometimes getting some stuff done and then her working as like a huge thing right now.
Right.
But I love the breakfast on the way, even though I don't like waking up 2 hours earlier to feed my kid. Like, dude, we leave for work fucking early to get here at 11. But I don't like the part that it's like my whole day. But I do like eating breakfast with her, coming to work with her, seeing how she thinks of the world, and then telling her to do a few things and her doing them. And then she just sits down and chills and talks to me for a while. And sometimes she's just on her phone or on my phone. Usually it's my phone. For like 4 hours. And then I go, hey, Brylan, somebody just walked in. She does a little bit of her job. There's not much to be done. And then we go to dinner and we talk about the day. And every now and then she goes, did I work enough to earn my money? I'm like, realistically, today you worked exactly how much I asked. Oh, yes. But there's just not that much for you to do. But like, I want you to understand how you at least have to show up to make the money.
Yeah.
And I like what she's doing. And if there was more for her to do here, it'd be cool. But I like have this worry that I'm going to instill like just sit here and get paid in her. But I also have this thing where I'm like, if that's the worst thing that comes out of me getting to fucking hang out with my daughter extra and her savings account's fucking stacked when she turns 16, that's great. Like, if that's worst case. But I do like having dinner with her is the fucking most fun shit of my week sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
She's cool as fuck. I can't otherwise justify having dinner with her. Like, okay, I'd have to go Mila, Asher, Brylan, Brandy. Mila, Asher, Brylan, Brandy. I'd be eating out 4 times a week, one-on-one with each of them, and then still going to family dinners together. Like, it'd be kind of excessive. But trying to find that balance is really weird. And I'm only half worried about her getting a work ethic out of the deal. Like, mostly I just want to hang out with her, and I want her to have a little idea of what it's like to have a job.
Yeah.
Realistically, I think working here and sitting on the couch for half the shift is probably not bad compared to, like, most jobs. She's not going to have to work this hard either. Like, it's just, most jobs are lazy.
Yeah.
But Chick-fil-A, a salon, or Starbucks are the 3, like, jobs she's thrown around for when she's 16. She wants to work at a salon and sweep the floors to learn. Like, she's like, I want to go to hair school, but I know they don't teach you everything, so I want to also sweep the floors. I was like, you just inherently know sweeping the floors is a good way to learn shit? It's like if somebody said back in the day, I want to be a shoe shine guy because I know the guys that I'm shining their shoes will teach me shit.
Right.
Like, the fact that she catches on to that thing, like, makes me happy. But I am genuinely like, is that whole generation fucked anyway? And will she need a job? Like, it might be, like, haircuts might be automated. I don't know, that's awful. Like, for real. Like, I do think haircuts it's kind of an art.
Yeah.
But if you go in and you go, I want a number 7, a machine can do that pretty soon. It's going to be an expensive machine.
Yeah. I think the most important the most important thing that you're getting out of it is just time.
I agree. Like, I'm paying my daughter to hang out with me.
Yeah.
It's not weird.
No, not at all. Not at all. Which is the same thing you do. Even if you weren't paying her cash, you'd still feed her.
Yeah.
And the only reason she's coming with you is because, hey, I get to go and have a good meal with Dad instead of,
Well, no, that's the other thing. Like, I can tell she actually likes hanging out with me. Like, I try to do these, like, little coffee dates and stuff with the kids, and dude, if I could give anybody advice on how to balance the fucking time with their kids, it would be just have one. Just because there's no, like, you have multiple kids, it's fucking impossible. Like, I can play games with Asher on his PS5, which there's a game I'm learning, and it's fun. I watch Bluey in the morning with Mila. And then the only, like, one-on-one time with Brylan I usually get is work. And then after work, we go to Applebee's and we take our sweet time. And then when I have a bad day at work or we leave early, we just drive around for a while. I've only had one bad day since she's been here. But, like, I had a day I was like, we need to go decompress for a little while. We're going to drive around the mountains at fucking 11 and then go tell Mom I fired Chris. And she was like, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. I messed up because I poured so much into the first one
There's nothing
And I
left.
got so wrapped up in what I was doing with the first one that the other two just kind of sat around and waited. And they got tired of going and doing that stuff because it was all about.
Right.
So they were just like, yeah, we're just gonna stay home, or we'll go to Nana's house, and we'll stay there. So there was a couple years of the boys didn't go and do anything with us because we were constantly doing stuff with our daughter, the oldest one.
Right.
You know, going and playing ball
Softball,
and you know
yeah.
doing all this stuff. So then I had some making up to do afterwards, and you know tried to do as much with the boys as I could. So I dropped the ball on that one. But it's also one of those. There ain't no manual that comes with these little
No.
fuckers.
And like seeing you around your whole family, like it's hard to say with your with Cody because I haven't heard him talk much.
Yeah.
But like the way that your whole family interacts. One thing I pointed out to Brandy recently is I noticed when Holden sees your wife, he always gives her a real hug. Not like,
Yeah.
"Hey, Mom." Like it's so weird but also so good for me to like I never see teenagers that actually give a shit about their mom, respect their mom, care about their mom. Any positive emotion towards their mom, never see it. Even if it exists, you'd never fucking know.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, it was like my whole family's just not affectionate. So like my mom knows I love her. My mom's always known I'm a big fan of her. But I probably have hugged my mom less than 100 times. I've never hugged my dad. I mean, I might have when I was like 2. But seeing that, and like that's how my family is. Like we fucking I can't leave to work without hugging everybody. I don't like fucking get super weird. When Asher's friends are around, I just give him a little hug and go, "Hey, I love you, buddy." Like I don't want to embarrass him.
Right.
But I don't think he would be embarrassed either. I don't think he knows that some people would find that embarrassing. And I don't think he should think that's embarrassing. But the second it turns into a thing where one of his friends is like, "Oh, you love your daddy," like then it taints the whole thing.
Right.
And I want him to get to a point where he's bulletproof, where he thinks like, "Oh, these guys are fucking idiots. Love's good."
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what that age is, but I don't think it's 10. I think your friends can kind of make you think like, "Oh, that's gay. He's like it's the gayest thing ever to hug your dad." But I think like if you look at the long run, you go, okay, yeah, maybe a few years here weren't perfect. They saw how much effort I was putting here. Then they see I'm putting it in there because I realized I fucked up a little and everything balances out. And you still like, it seems like you see your kids more than almost any adult that I know that has kids your age. Like,
Yeah.
like,
I don't see Cody as often as I'd like, but it's because of the job. You know, he's got a job where he works overnight, so he
Right.
sleeps most of the day. But we do have family dinner at our house once a week. All the kids come home with their significant others now.
yeah,
You know, and we eat, and that was last night. And we stayed sitting at the dining table till 11:30 last night, just visiting.
and that's cool.
And
Like,
talking shit,
and you want to,
you know, and
they
cutting
all
up.
enjoy it.
Like a lot of times they'll come over. We wind up with YouTube on, and we're just watching funny videos,
Right.
and everybody's laughing, and everybody just kind of starts to slowly trickle out. But leading into yesterday, I was like, hey, I don't want the TV turned on this
Right.
time. Like I just want to stay at the table and have conversation. And you know, and then when I see it start leading towards now, everybody's just got their phones in their hand. Like I'll make something happen to where, hey, you gotta put your phones down because we're talking, or like I'll force people to be part of a conversation.
Can't remember where I met this person. Oh, it's one of my clients. Not saying their whole life's all figured out, but they said we have dinner every Sunday at our house, and phones go in the box. I was
Yeah.
like, y'all have a box for phone? They're like, we just have a box at the front door. It's just like a little Tupperware type. You just drop your phone in there, close the lid. Nobody touches their phone. If there's an emergency, we're all here. And I was like, that's fucking crazy. Because their kids are like, they have a kid that's like 36, you
Yeah.
know? And so their kids have, some kids, like they have grandkids and shit. And they said, everybody. Doesn't matter if you're the neighbor or whatever, you come in our house, you drop it in the box. And I was like, and how much do people want to come back to your house? And I said it, even though I kind of agreed with what they were saying, I made sure my tone was a little judgy.
Yeah.
So that I would get more honesty out of them and less like, I feel like if I go, oh, that sounds great. How many people like love it? Then they're like, oh, everybody loves it. But they were like, some people don't like it, but the people that matter are like, they're into it.
Yeah.
Like you can get people to realize like just hanging out, having conversations is fucking fun. And then with your family, your kids are like, okay, again, don't know much about Cody, but Cody works a job that what does he do?
He's a security guard at a casino.
Okay. So he works a night job and he sleeps a lot in the day because that makes sense. And then you told me today, I overheard you saying today that Holden was making something using his welding skills, I'm assuming, to make a handrail. You set him up with something. And it's just like, it's shit like that. Like the fact that y'all are in touch with fucking what everybody's doing. If it didn't involve making a lot of money and bringing it home or winning some kind of trophy when I was a kid, I don't think my dad would know I was alive. Like I genuinely, and I don't like, not even saying that's a bad thing. Like this is the generation we lived in. Like my dad one time came home, I was dressed up for Halloween. He goes, "I like your outfit. You should dress nice more." And I was like, I'm a detective. And he goes, "Oh, that's cool." And walked inside and then figured out it was Halloween. Like he didn't even know it was Halloween, but he gave me a compliment. I remember it because it happened twice. Like he said a positive thing twice my entire childhood. I don't want to overdo the positive shit, but I feel like that kind of like, you might have the same thing. I now overcorrect with my kids. I'm like, dude, that's great. But I also won't tell them anything they do that's lame is not. Like I'm not gonna lie to them at all. Like if they suck at something, I'm not gonna point it out, but I'm gonna be like, keep working on it.
Yeah, daughters, and of course you're going to wind up having to deal with this twice. There are some things, like when my daughter played ball, I could stay on her and ride her hard about being in shape.
Right.
Because she was an athlete. Now she's no longer an athlete. I can't say anything to her about, hey, maybe you ought to cut back on those. And really, like I just want to tell my kids this because I'm like, hey, dude, in your 20s, you're going to be able to deal with that. Your metabolism's going to fluctuate with you, and it's going to help, and it's going to keep. Then you turn 30, that shit doesn't go away without extreme amounts of work.
Right.
Like, just get in the habit of staying healthy. When you have a daughter and you say that to them and they're already feeling a little bit self-conscious, all they hear is, "Dad said I was fat."
Right.
No, bitch, that's not what I said. I said, "Are you okay today?" That's all I said.
So Brylan just hit a phase where, like, okay, first off, for a 12-year-old, she's really good at doing makeup. Like, you've seen a 12-year-old try to put makeup on.
Yeah.
Doesn't usually go smooth. The other day, she comes in with first off, the lighting in her room's not great, and she wants to use her little tiny vanity mirror that's not that great.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking we'll just get her a better vanity. But she comes in the living room, and I'm just like, I don't know how to say it, and I am not good. Like, if you asked me a question about you, and you were like, "Hey, do you think my ears look funny?" I'd be like, "Yeah, your ears are fucked up, dog." Like, ears are a bad example. Your ears are normal. But I'm just saying, if you had a thing, you're welcome. I wouldn't want to, but if you asked me, I'd be like, I owe it to you to be honest.
Right.
Like, you should expect me to be honest. With her, she goes, "What do you think about my makeup?" And I was like, I hate doing this. Like, it was one of the hardest things ever. I was like, I personally think you put too much of exactly one shade on your face, and it actually changed the shape of your face to where your face just looks like shapeless. And you have a beautiful face, and then when you lose the shape in your face, it just kind of looks like everybody else's face. And she was like, "Okay, but well, like, how do I fix that?" I was like, "I don't know. I hate telling Brandy." Like, I was like, "Just come." I don't know the terms. I just know she had put on a consistent one color everywhere, and her face is fucking perfect. And then she goes and like flattens it out, for lack of a better term. Like, I don't know how to.
She's trying to learn how to contour and do all that stuff.
Yeah, like, so usually what she would do is she would go in and like, she's trying to learn how to contour a little here, and it changes the shape of your face. Like, it's an illusion to make it look like your cheeks are a little sunken and your cheekbones stick out. And if you do it right, and that's the way you want your face to look, it looks good. If you just put shit all over your face in one tone, it makes you look it flattens it. I don't know how to describe it.
No, I understand what you're saying.
It looks weird. And I was like, I was so taken back by looking at her. I was like, first off, she does great on her eyes. She, like, again, 12 years old, can fucking nail the mascara, the eyeliner. She'll have me do the little wing thing when she wants to get fancy. I have to use tape because one of my clients told me to use tape, and then so I can do that because I'm cool. But she was going over like all the things she did, and I was just like, I absolutely like it fucking hurts me so bad to say, but I was like, hey, could you, if I were you, I'm not saying you need to, but if I were you, I would just go wipe it all off and just start over. And she goes, okay. And it didn't look like it hurt her feelings, but I know it kind of has to. Like
Yeah.
because she worked hard and it just didn't work that time. But it'd be like if I fucking drew something for 2 hours and showed you and said, hey, does this look good? And you're like, yeah, it looks great. And I stick it on there and I'm about to tattoo it and you go, actually, I was just trying to be nice. I really don't want it. I would prefer that than you walking around going, this guy fucked up my whole arm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like makeup's just for a day, tattoos forever. It's different. But that shit was so hard. And then like as far as body issues and stuff goes, I know it comes in time, but our whole house is just like a weird balance of admitting to the kids that sometimes I just get too high and want to eat fucking cereal at 3 a.m. and I don't think that's okay. But I don't think it's the worst thing ever because I offset it with all the other things. And then them going, Dad's on his stupid protein thing. I have to have 90 grams of protein. I have to have 80 ounces of water. Those are really low numbers. I'm supposed to have 180 to 200 grams of protein, and I'm supposed to drink closer to like 100 ounces of water, according to all the shit I've read and listened to and whatever. But when I hit 80 and 90, I feel good. So I tell my kids openly, like the reason I'm doing all this is I just want to feel better. And then also seeing their fucking Nana just didn't take care of herself. Things didn't work out very well. She got sick. It didn't work out. Like if you die in your 50s because your whole life you didn't take care of yourself, that's not good for anybody.
Right.
So it's like, you're completely right. Having the good habits and all that are cool. But like trying to instill good habits and have fucking fun food at the house is a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Because like if you overdo it, I imagine they just rebel and go, all I do is eat Twinkies. And if you don't tell them anything, they have cavities and diabetes.
Yeah.
And it's like, there should be a user manual.
Yeah, for sure. Now, you also have, this is something that took us a long time. Like, I mean, she's 23 years old now, and we still are trying to get our daughter to understand, or she's fixing to be, she is 23.
Yeah. She's 23. You got this.
Yeah. This kid that I love so much.
She was 12 yesterday.
We had to beat it into her head that people will only treat you the way you allow them to treat you. So like if you've got a friend and they're a shithead and they're always a shithead, but you don't do anything about it, they're going to continue to be a shithead.
That's why I had to fire a bunch of people.
But if you call them out on it from the beginning, they'll learn that either they got to go find a different friend that's going to let them treat them bad, or they'll learn how to, hey, I can't get away with that with you.
That's going to be a hard one with my kids.
It took us a long time to get that across to her, but now, like I've always, and I learned this from my dad, I always open the door for my wife.
I've noticed. I like it.
Both of my sons will open the door for their mom. Cody opens the door for his wife. Corinne will not open her own door. Because she's like, no. Like,
this is not how we do it.
My dad taught me that this is the least that you can do. Like, just open my door. It's a sign of respect. Right. It's a sign, of caring or whatever. And like Tana sent me a funny video the other day, and it was this girl, and she's like, when you get so spoiled by your man opening the door for you, and it's this girl, she walks out to the truck, and then she just stands there. And she's like looking around, like she don't know how to get in the vehicle by myself. But like that was something like, and it was really important to me with my daughter. I'm now thinking that I probably should have been just as much driving at home with my boys as well, is don't accept anything less than what you deserve.
I agree with that to some extent. I think it's a good, like, I don't know how you teach that, but I do think like that's something, nobody told me otherwise either. I didn't think like I should be treated like shit.
Right.
But going through life, I've just now in my early 30s figured out how to go, no, I'm not going to fucking take your bullshit. Yeah, I expect you to do that. And that's with people I pay. That's like with people that work for me. At Walmart, okay, here's a great example of maybe you would know what to do in this situation. I always take the politest path possible in pretty much any scenario I can. We were at Urban Air. First off, every employee except for one at Urban Air sucks balls and should not get paid fucking 10 cents an hour. They all are the worst. Fuck you, Urban Air. The worst fucking employees I've seen in my life. That means whoever's interviewing them is retarded. And it is so obvious these fucking cunts don't want to work. They shouldn't be there. That being said,
I've never been to Urban Air. Now I feel like I should go.
It's worth it. You should go for entertainment's sake.
Okay.
As long as you go in and go in, I want to see what the laziest motherfuckers in America look like. You'll have a great time because Urban Air sucks balls. But it's a cool place. You can have fun there. They have different parts, like you pay for the ultimate pass and they have to an employee has to let you in the climbing area and let you in the zip line. We can't do the obstacle course because nobody knows how to get into it because they have a bunch of fucking idiots working there. For real. So we spent at least 10 minutes trying to find somebody to let us in an area. I gave up after 1 minute. I just unzipped the bitch. It says you gotta have a person let you in. I just what are they gonna do, kick me out? And Asher goes, I don't want to get kicked out. I was like, they'll kick me out. If they kick us out, I don't know how, but I promise I will make it up to you. He goes, all right, deal. Because he's like, I've never let him down, So he's like, okay, we're getting a new scooter or some shit. So we're in there jumping on the thing for a little bit, and then he goes, I think I'm good in here. And so we zip it back up, and then we find an employee that will let us in, so we go back in. We're jumping, and then we go, you want to go do the zip line? So we asked the lady if she could put us on the zip line, and she said, no, I'm not qualified to do that. So I asked another person, they said, no, I'm not qualified to do that. I said, could you ask somebody, see if they are? They got 5 people huddled up, nobody's qualified to do that. So I go ask the lady at the climbing wall, I go, hey, is there any way you could let my son hop on the zip line? And she goes, I can, but I have to either wait till nobody's climbing or somebody comes over here. And I was like, that makes total sense. You obviously can't abandon this kid on the wall. Let me go see what I can do. So I go walk around. I ask somebody, hey, since you're not qualified, can you come over here and watch the climbing wall while this lady lets us on the zip line? And she looks at her friend that works there, just eyes, not face, just kind of does one of those with her eyes. And then her friend looks back at her, and they somehow communicated with each other in 2 seconds and decide nobody's allowed on the zip line. So she goes, oh, I'm not actually able to do that right now. And then I ask another person, I go, hey, could you cover the rock wall so the lady at the rock wall can let us on the zip line? So I'm just coordinating this whole thing. Eventually I'm going to land on somebody that can at least watch a fucking rock wall with kids that already have harnesses on. I go through all the employees that are working, and only one employee can do it, but she's busy on the rock wall. So I go, all right, whatever. And I just walk off. They thought I was going to the manager, but I was actually just going to tell Brandy how stupid they were and that I need to come up with a joke about it. I come back, the zip line's open. That's cool. We then wait. There's 6 or 7 people in front of us to get on the zip line because we asked them to open it. And Asher was right there, and I was 20 feet away, but those people mobbed it. And I was like, okay, that doesn't count as we were here first. We go to a trampoline that they have to let us in, and we waited patiently for the lady to come over there for a couple minutes. The lady unzips it. These 2 girls walk right in front of Asher and walk in. There's only 2 people allowed at a time. And he goes, we'll wait. I was like, I don't know. I mean, with a couple 8-year-old girls, and their mom's right there. Am I supposed to go to... First off, I was just telling you the whole day was stupid, but we had fun.
Yeah.
But am I supposed to go to the mom and go, hey, listen, you fucking stupid cunt. Your kids are assholes, but in less of a direct way? Or am I supposed to just be patient and teach my son that we let people fucking do what they want because we'll do what we want a different way later and they won't know? Because the reality is, I don't go, I need what's mine now. I waited in line, I deserve this. I go, I'm going to just unzip this shit when nobody's looking anyway. I don't really follow rules, generally speaking. But in that scenario, should I talk to mom? Should I talk to the person that worked there is not going to do shit. She's a fucking retarded person. They're not even playing. I've never seen this many people work this hard to not do anything.
Right.
They absolutely have the worst group of employees. They have the worst group of humans working there I've ever seen, and I've met people that are in the fucking Klan. These people suck. And I know they're 16 to 18. They suck so bad. And I want to say it's a generational thing, but it's not, because Chick-fil-A's got kids working there.
Yeah.
And they fucking make your drink. And they don't tell you they're not qualified to do it. They just fucking stick the...
I mean, in that situation, I'm calling the girls out. Like, as
The
they...
little girls.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
As they walk in front of me, I go, wait, ladies. Hey, there was a line. And then if the girls are, shitheads and they just give you a look and just go about their business, you go,
Then you go, Mom.
Excuse me, ma'am?
Right.
Like, your girls
when
are
it gets
just
to the point where it's a physical altercation, but it's a woman and we're in public and I'm going to go to jail. Because that's what it always... Every time I've ever said, excuse me, your kids just kind of cut through there. And we were waiting patiently, but we've been here like 10 minutes and they just walked up. Because you asked them to wait and let us jump first? Now, I haven't, in that particular situation, I haven't done that. But like in just a line cutting situation in general, it always immediately escalates. And I don't know if it's the way I look, but immediately goes from, excuse me, your kids just cut in line. Would you mind asking them to wait? That, with that exact tone, for some reason, apparently comes off as condescending and turns into absolute fucking chaos, and I'm going to get my husband, he's going to whoop your ass, I'm going to call the police, you're a racist, homophobic piece of shit, I'm going to spit in your mouth. Like, they skip the spit in your mouth thing. But I've never had a fucking civil thing not turn into such a problem that I'm not sure I'm going to be able to control myself. Because like once people start yelling at me, and I think I've told you this, it's one of the few things you can do to get me to fucking snap. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't like being yelled at.
Right.
Like, at all. I would rather you just punch me one time. Twice, I would rather be yelled at, because that hurts. But one good punch to the jaw, to me, is a little bit more polite than yelling at me. And from my experience, every woman, especially when you mention their kids aren't perfect, that I've ever met, goes 0 to 500 fucking instantly. So, like, that's my fear with that situation. Is like, okay, so I'm trying to teach my son we don't let people fucking cut us in line, but politely.
Right.
Now this lady's screaming, saying her husband's the fucking sheriff of Wichita County or some shit, and she's going to have me murdered. What did I do? Now what do I do?
Then the very first thing you say is, well, where is he? Because I would gladly have this conversation with him.
Well, I've never tried that.
Oh, well, he's not here. I'll call him. He can be here in 10 minutes. In this 10 minutes, I can already identify the reason that your daughters are acting like little cunts because they've got a perfect fucking role model.
Right.
And when your husband gets here, I can have that fucking conversation with him too. And at this point, I've lost all couth. There is no more smooth, like, hey, ma'am, I tried to ask you politely. You want to raise your voice and cuss at me, you can go fuck yourself. You can take your daughters to hell with you because they're just going to grow up to be little pieces of shit just like you.
Which is exactly where I go, by the way.
Now, I'm going to start with the, hey, excuse me, ma'am. Like, I tried to catch them.
We try manners.
Before they got in there. Like, we were standing in line, and they just walked right in front of us. You know, I'm giving you a chance to fix this or whatever, you know. And then they just go to their, I can meet you there.
So the thing is, that's where I go. Now, I've never had this happen, but I'm afraid in today's generation, what if that lady slugs me in the face? I have to, by law, walk away, or now, because sex doesn't exist, I can beat the fuck out of her. By
law, if she puts hands on you, you're allowed to put hands back.
Okay. But I have a penis.
Here's the best thing you can do. While you're cussing her, put distance between you.
Right.
A step forward is considered an aggressive move.
Right.
Now she feels threatened, that's why she hit you first. Going by what Grandpa taught me, a man never hits a woman.
Right.
But when a woman balls up her fist and hits like a man, she stepped into a man's shoes.
Okay, because that's the thing. Like, first off, I know in this particular situation, I think where it really would have gone is if I said, "Hey, girls, we were here first." I think they would have done the thing. You know the thing where kids look at you and pretend you didn't talk? They just go, and then run off?
Yeah.
90% sure, based on my experience with all children ever, that's just what would happen, because most kids these days are kind of little bitches. Mm-hmm. And then I could probably go to their mom and be like, hey, I'm not trying to cause any problems, but like, I just asked your kids if they could wait since we were here first and they ran in. Is there any way you could ask them just like, I'll even keep it to 5 minutes. You can set a timer. I just want to jump in here with my kid for 5 minutes. Is that cool? I think what would have happened is she would go, this is stupid, but yeah, whatever. And then I would immediately be infuriated and it would ruin the next 10 minutes, but it would get the thing done. And I will say if I have to pick, I would rather me be too passive than too aggressive. I would rather my kids be too aggressive because I've seen what happens when you're passive. And by that, I mean, I've had it happen.
Right.
Everything has happened because I'm just like, I mean, dude, if somebody fucking takes something from me, I just go, I'll go get another one. If somebody, tries to physically hurt me, I just stop them from it. Like, I've only been in a handful of fights. I've stopped people from hurting me a gajillion fucking times. Like, I've had people hit me and not hit them back. But I have had people hit me and fucking tied them up for a minute. Just like, get your arm and be like, hey, buddy, could you not? Like, once you can prove that you could fuck them up and you don't, they immediately stop. But I would rather my kids every now and then fuck somebody up than have to go through the process of going, okay, I'm going to try to just keep this not dangerous.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a weird fucking balance.
And I think, well, I know at least with that, is Asher the only one that takes classes?
No, Brylan, she does jujitsu in the summer a little. She was doing it for a while, but now she's got too much shit going on. But
All right. So, now,
the two older ones can take care of themselves.
Yeah, the kids they're in things like that, which, is also discipline is taught, things like those things. So I think that's really good. I think this is worst case scenario is for somebody to remain too passive, which is what you're saying. I was very, very passive when I was elementary school, and I was also dirt poor.
Right.
The shoes I wore to school had holes in them. My pinky toes hung out of shoes. My clothes were wore out. Everything was hand-me-down. Like I was the easy target to pick on.
Right.
And I ate that. And I ate it and I ate it. And then I get to middle school and we're in 7th grade. And a kid named Brian, he was the one.
He just got all of it?
He was the one. And it was... Even in 7th grade, thinking back on, because people talk about, man, it was one time I got in a fight when I was, I'm like, how old were you? I'm like, oh, I was in 7th grade. I was like, well, then all those things didn't happen. That's some shit you saw in a movie.
Right.
Like, what are you talking? 7th graders don't fight
how
like
old
that.
Is a
What are you
7th grader?
I don't know. Were you 5 when you're in kindergarten?
So like 12?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. So when I was 12, I probably got in more fights between 12 and 14, like real fights.
Yeah.
Than me and my brothers all were in a fight at least once a month, probably around that time. Maybe not quite one, but I don't think there was a year where we didn't get in 10.
Right. Well, and that's
fights.
what it turned into. Once I got him dazed, I just had him by the head and was slamming his head into a locker.
Yeah.
And it was just repeated until somebody bigger than me was able to grab me.
Last time I was in a fight was very similar.
But then it turned into, once I released all that, and I was like, and then the next day I walked down the hallway and there was a wide berth was given to me, or not the next day because I had to take a little vacation.
Yeah.
But the next time that I did walk, there was a wide berth given. I was like, okay, I got this. And then it turned into a problem. Then it turned in, if somebody looked at me fucking sideways,
right.
I didn't ask no questions.
Right.
I just beat the brakes off somebody. And then that's why I graduated from alternative school.
Well, I didn't have that problem, but there was a kid one block over we were friends. Like, I've never figured out why when you're a kid, your friend that you have all good shit for 6 months, one bad thing, we hate each other for 2 hours, and then we can go right back. It never made sense to me. Still doesn't. But it's just how it was. But this kid, I still don't get this. If I said I want to fuck your mom, I get it. If I said, your mom's beautiful, I don't understand why that's a bad thing. Even if I said, man, your mom's kind of hot, I still don't understand why that's a bad thing. I've never got it.
Yeah.
Sister, also don't get it unless it's a little sister. Then I kind of get it.
Yeah.
Older sister... Well, I'm saying we're probably somewhere in the ballpark of 12 to 15. I would think probably 13, 14. I don't know. But his older sister was a year or two older than us. And she was pretty. and she walked by in a towel, and I was just like, ooh, Tyler, your sister's in a towel. I just said something. I didn't say, like, I'm going to fucking go motorboat your sister's titties. I was just like, she's in a towel. I just acknowledged it. He goes, what'd you say about my sister? I was like, dude, chill. I'm sorry. Like, I didn't mean to bother you or whatever. He was like, say it again. I was like, I don't even remember what I said. I was just saying your sister's cute. And he was like, oh, now you fucking did it. And then he comes after me like, I've never thrown the first punch, but I not let him hit me, but once he hit me, I hit him back a couple times. It was like a normal fight. And then I got him on his mom's car, and I was holding his head down by his hair, and I elbowed him until I couldn't fucking move anymore. Just kept elbowing him. Like, I could have, if we were adults, I could have accidentally killed this guy.
Yeah.
And that's, even as a little kid, I was like, that probably wasn't good. I realized I didn't have full control of my body, and I didn't want to feel that ever again. And I apologized to him the next day. We became friends again later, probably a month or two. We had some downtime.
Yeah.
But I remember, like, I saw his brother, and I was like, hey, how's Tyler doing? And he goes, oh, he's fine. And I was like, is he, like, are we cool? And he was like, oh, we don't bruise easy, if that's what you're asking. I was like, I have no idea what that means. I'm just asking, like, is he still mad at me? And he's like, well, you beat the shit out of him, so, like, he's a little mad, but he looks fine. And I was like, oh, cool. All right. So it's just like, in my head, I was like, okay, I felt the amount of, now good news is, no permanent damage. It's just, I mean, an elbow to the back of the head, you would think, would fuck you up pretty good, but heads are tough. Can. Apparently I got bitch-ass elbows. I just remember how many times I elbowed him in the back of the head. Had to be like 20 before I even realized I was still elbowing him. And then I just kept fucking elbowing him.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was so scared of having that again. Like, I don't spar with people. Like, I would do, like, karate. We would do a little bit of shit, but I didn't want somebody to hit me wrong and, like, my head just goes where I have no control. So I imagine you had a very similar thing.
Yeah.
But throughout the whole fucking day, where you're like, oh, I was just like, anybody says anything, I'm going to snap. And, like, you're just wired that way.
Yeah, I would say until probably 5 years ago.
That's cool. You know, we just broke like an hour. We're supposed to do like 30 minutes.
Did we really?
Yeah. An hour and 7 minutes.
Huh.
I was like, that looks like 10 minutes? There's no way. It's got to be 30.
So the moral of the story is I think that it's a good idea that your kids know not to take shit, but also know that there's shit in this world that they're going to have to put up with because people are just shitty. But don't allow somebody to walk on you.
But that's the thing. Like, to me, the cutting in line thing is so small, but it represents something else.
Right.
Like, that's where I'm like, that day, I was like, I feel like I kind of, like, in the moment, I was like, am I fucking up by not? By the time I process this, it's definitely going to be too late to be like, hey, girls, you've been jumping for a minute 30. You want to get out here? Like, there's kind of you have to make that decision right now. And normally I don't freeze. Normally I'm a very, like, this is what we're going to do. Like, if somebody puts me in charge of something, it's like, okay, we're doing this, and I mean me, nobody else is doing shit. I can't delegate for shit, but I'll do it, and I'll make the decision in a half a second. The hesitation thing was what got to me. I'm like, am I supposed to tell my kid? Like, if I was doing what my son was doing in that situation, I was proud of him for not getting mad about it. I would have done the same thing as an adult. He's learning from me by watching me as an adult. I don't want him to go through his whole life getting trampled on. I don't think somebody cutting in line at a grocery store is a big deal.
Right.
Like, if you're at Walmart and there's like 3 people in front of you and 1 person behind you, and you step over here to look at a Reese's and you look and there's another, and you're like, what the fuck? Where'd that guy come from? Like, usually I don't even say anything because personally it doesn't bother me. But if I'm in a hurry, I go, hey dude, get in your spot. Like, I don't even use manners anymore because manners haven't fucking worked for me. I go, hey, guy, like...
Well, and obviously manners are not working for him either if he thought that was okay.
Right, but people do it all the time, and if you're at, like, a concert or something, like, okay, you don't travel, like, you don't fly a lot, right? You travel, like, you drive pretty much everywhere, okay. You have flown places, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the airport is the kids, that's the adults' version of Urban Air for kids. Like, it's where all the fucking shit comes out of everybody. Mm-hmm. Just... Also,
it's hard to find somebody in a good mood at an airport.
Right. I'm always in a good mood, and the guy that did cocaine in the open at the airport was clearly in a good mood. I saw a dude do cocaine out of a baggie. He had like one of those little like BC powder things. I mean, he could have been snorting BC powder, But he just kind of had it in the bag, and he looks around, he rips the bag open, and he goes, and I was like, God, there's like 80 cameras, and you just did that after TSA 20 feet from a bathroom door. Use the bathroom, buddy.
Yeah.
But like, that was the only guy I saw that day that was in a good mood, is the point. And I know why. But no, when you're at an airport, like, okay, let's say there's a line. I hear people talk about this on podcasts too. Like, they'll be like, oh, I have this fucking flight something reward, so I get to board the plane first. Who the fuck, when it's assigned seating, wants to board the plane first?
Right.
I absolutely want to be last. People fight like a motherfucker to be in first. No logic is put there at all. You can stand and walk around outside. You can be 20 feet from the gate. You can fucking hit your vape pen silently and, sneakily. You can drink your coffee, whatever you want to do. You can stretch. You can fucking put your arms up like this. They're in a hurry to wait. Brandy and I are usually the only people at the airport that are not trying to see if we can get to the front of the line. Like, they board by sections. They go like, whatever, but if you're military, if you're a senior, if you have small children, if you're in a wheelchair, you get to board first. That's like, to me, that sounds like somebody going, hey, we're running a train on this girl. Who wants last? And everybody raises their hands. I'm like, dude, you want to be number 3? Like, what are you talking about? But
so yes, flying Southwest is the only time that you want to board first.
Is that because you get to pick?
You get to pick your seat, yeah.
Because, like, okay, Spirit, how I fly, hashtag rich people shit, it's the cheapest airline.
Yeah.
Spirit Frontier.
Is it the same way? If you board first, you get to pick your seat?
No, you have assigned seats, and you buy your seat. So you buy a plane ticket that's like whatever price, and then the day before, or maybe even the morning of, depending on your flight time, but it's within 24 hours, you have to check in for your flight. If you don't, they won't let you fly, which I think is a little excessive. I'm sure there's a way around it, but you check in for your flight online, and you can select your seat based on what's available. So the sooner you check in, the sooner you pick a good seat. But you can pay extra for the exit row. You can pay extra for the 2 front. That is 2 instead of, or 4 front rows, where it's like 2 instead of 3 per side, and you just got more elbow room. You can do all kinds of shit. I usually, if it's just me and Brandy, I'll pay the extra, if it's like $20 more for each seat, I'll pay $40 to just be like, ugh.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, once you've selected that, you have no choice of where you're sitting. So I can't figure out for the life of me why the fuck you'd want to be on the plane first. And I've asked everybody, because you can sit down and fucking chill. I'm like, you can do that in the lobby.
Yeah.
Like, planes are fucking fart tubes. Like, they're just filled with people, and they're fucking disgusting. Like, my least favorite part about flying is being around other people in a tiny tube. My favorite part about flying is I can be in Vegas at the same time I left Lawton, essentially. Like, it's pretty cool with the time change.
Yeah.
You leave at 4, you land at 4:15.
Dude, I'll pay the little bit extra to get on Southwest so that I can get that very front row on the right-hand side next to the window.
Just so, like, you can get out pretty quick and you can see
Yeah,
out.
well, and it's like there's nothing in front of you. So you can,
Yeah.
like, you can even, there's enough room you can stand up in front of your seat and,
Same with
move
the exit
around a
rows
little
on
bit.
Spirit. I don't know
Yeah.
different planes, but Spirit, I'll pay extra for the exit
And
row.
I like the window seat if I'm in the front row.
But otherwise you don't?
No, because I don't like to be if I got to go to the bathroom, I don't like having to ask
Gotcha.
3 people to get up.
But if you're in the front row, you go to the front bathroom.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
I think there's only one bathroom on Southwest plane.
Oh,
It's right behind the cockpit.
Usually front and back, most of the planes I've been on. And if I'm in the back, I go to the front. If I'm in the front, I go to the back just because I want to walk.
Right.
Like, and people probably look at me like I'm crazy. Like, why the fuck did that guy go from row 3 to the very back? I'm like, hey, dude, they can't tell me I can't walk around when I tell them I got a pee-pee.
Yeah. I've only been on a couple of bigger planes, like Deltas or American Airlines or something, like the bigger ones.
The only time I'm on big planes is when I fly international. So, like, we went to Canada. I don't know. Like, I think usually we're on a 737, and those are 747s or something. But when we flew to, it was either Italy or Ireland, but we hopped on this fucking plane, and I got in there, and I was like, damn, this shit got a row down the middle and on the sides. They got aisles, plural. I was like, this is crazy. And then, like, the next flight, maybe 2 flights later that I was on, was out of Lawton. And it's just the contrast was fucking crazy
Yeah.
because that plane, that doesn't make any sense.
Like you're sitting on the far right hand side of the plane, you can almost touch the
Dude,
left hand
for real.
side. Yeah.
Like, I feel like
it feels
you
smaller than a private jet.
you could have a threesome from any 3 seats in there. Like, well, maybe not you. Depends on your dick length. But like you could, it's so tiny. Like my uncle has his pilot's license just like as a recreational thing, and I've been on a couple planes he rented, and they're usually like Cessnas or whatever, like a little prop plane. And I honestly don't feel much different safety-wise and like how much room I have to move around in those little 3-seaters than I do the fucking flying out of Lawton ones. Like, I was blown away with how small that plane was. I was like, dude, when we're not doing a podcast, I will tell you a name and you tell me if they could fit in the plane.
Gotcha.
Okay.
That lady we saw at
I wasn't going to say her
Applebee's.
name, but
she cannot.
did you see her elbows?
Bro, I'm telling you right now. Like, and I don't care how racist it sounds. And I know, like, I've heard people do
Wait, fat elbows is a race thing?
jokes about this. Like, if I'm on a plane and I see, like, 3 dudes come on together wearing turbans and shit, I'm
nervous.
gonna pucker.
Right.
If I'm on a plane and I see that lady from Applebee's,
I'm getting off.
I'm getting off. Like, there's no way that this is, you're gonna have to sit in the aisle, lady. We need you in the middle.
You know those little planes where they have to ask everybody how much they weigh so they can get the idea of like...
Yeah, well, I've only been on one of them
I've
when I
never
was
been on one.
skydiving.
I've heard stories about it. Like, I've heard, like, when you're... Most people that have told me about them were, like, in Hawaii. They're, like, they land on the big island. They're flying to a little island or whatever.
Yeah.
Little puddle jumpers. But I've always wondered if there's a scenario where they have, like, 6 fat fucks that are full of shit. And that adds up to 20 people. And they're just like, I weigh 220. And everybody just says 220. And they're like, hey... We need an honesty moment. Who's got a scale?
Who's got a joke about that? Somebody's got a joke about that where
Probably Gabriel Iglesias, just because he's really
they
big.
were telling a joke and they were like, you need to be honest. That's not your weight. That's you're lying.
But,
Our
I mean,
lives depend on it.
really, though, like, if you were in that scenario and you're asking people... 10 years ago, I think you could probably get away with saying, hey, I'm sorry, I just don't believe you. Would you mind stepping on the scale? Now people would be like, I identify as 197, whatever the fuck. Like,
Yeah.
they say a number and they...
You said, bitch, I don't care. Gravity
Dude,
don't give a fuck what you identify
There's a
as.
great Tim Dillon episode about... what is the term for including fat people and shit? Like, body inclusion, maybe? Something like...
Yeah, it could be.
So he plays a clip of this lady that goes on a cruise, and she got off the cruise and she was complaining that it wasn't very big body friendly. I don't remember the word she said, but she was like, there's a lot of things that you can't do if you weigh over a certain amount. There's a lot of things that aren't really for people of like larger size. And she's going on this long rant about, and she keeps like saying like, I can't remember the term, but it'd be like if instead of saying fat, if she said like gravitously challenged or something, where you're just like, just say heavy, dude. Like, it didn't add up. And Tim Dillon being a fat guy makes it twice as funny to me. But he's just fucking losing his shit talking about this. And I did not believe this could have, like, you know, sometimes you hear somebody talk about something or you hear like a clip of something, you go, I have to look that up.
Yeah.
I gotta see what this bitch looks like. Dude. First off, I've seen fatter, for sure. But she was like really genuinely upset. She's like, they have a weight limit on the little surfy thing. And it's like, yeah, it's water and a foam board. You dumb bitch. If they don't give you a weight limit, you will get hurt and then they will get sued. Like, this shit is so funny. But it was such a great episode because they just keep fucking going. And then there was somebody else, like this video apparently was popular. There's another one, I want to say Dan Soder at some point, or it might have been Dan Soder on this, but I heard somebody else talk about it. But this lady was genuinely upset to the point where she makes a long video by the fact that, like, the seats weren't wide enough. And the hallways or the cabins were, like, they didn't have a fat people cabin. Like, she wanted them to have a toilet and a bed and a cabin and a door frame and everything built for people her size. understanding that they can't all be that size because it would fuck up the whole money situation because they'd have 4 rooms because she's so fucking big. But the thing that blew my mind is she's not even that big. Like, she's probably like Applebee's lady divided in 2.
Okay.
Like, hefty, but not... Like, if I saw her at Walmart, I wouldn't be like, what the fuck? I'd just be like, that's a person at Walmart.
Yeah.
Where the lady at Applebee's, I'd be like,
damn!
she might need to get off that food aisle. Like, we might want to just starve that one.
That's a big bitch.
That's a huge bitch. All right, are we done?
Yeah, let's call it.
Let's go to bed.
This has been Matt and Andrew Make a Podcast.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Matt.
We made a podcast.